Good evening. The Duke of Edinburgh has been taken to hospital tonight for precautionary tests following chest pains. Buckingham Palace said Prince Philip, who's 90, went from Sandringham to the cardiothoracic unit at Papworth Hospital in Cambridge. The royal family is spending Christmas at Sandringham in Norfolk. Let's go to our correspondent Ben Ando, who joins us from outside Papworth Hospital in Cambridge now. Not that much information. Just tell us what we do know, Ben.
Yes, well, what we know is that the Duke arrived here at Papworth earlier on this evening. He'd been suffering from chest pains. It's understood he arrived in a helicopter and was brought here from a playing field in the back of the hospital to the admissions area in an ambulance. The hospital says it can't say any more than that, but what is known is that these tests are precautionary.
He is 90 years old and he has been taken to hospital, we are told, with chest pains. Those facts in themselves must be reason for concern, though it should be stressed at this point that there is no sense of alarm at Buckingham Palace, where officials are awaiting news from Papworth Hospital. The Duke has continued with an active programme of engagements. Just 2 months ago he was in Australia at the side of the Queen, doing what he's done for very nearly 60 years now, supporting the monarch. The person closest to her, though always in public a step or two behind her. On that occasion guiding children through the crowds to meet her, and, notwithstanding his naturally rather dominant personality, content to take second place, as he always has. His health has generally been good for a man of his age. There was a scare 3 years ago when he was last admitted to hospital with a chest infection. He emerged after 3 nights and continued with his normal programme of engagements. Earlier this year he did, at the time of a 90th birthday, which he tried his best to play down, admit that it might be time to slow down.
I reckon I've done my bit. I want to enjoy myself for a bit now. With less responsibility, less frantic rushing about, less preparation, less trying to think of something to say. On top of that, memory's going. I can't remember names and things. Yes, I'm just sort of winding down.
Tonight, doctors are continuing their tests. The Queen remains at Sandringham with her family around her. There is not, so far as we are aware, any sense of alarm, but there must, given his age, be concern. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
Well, yes, concern there is, and I think one question that's being asked is why was it felt necessary to bring the Duke of Edinburgh here to the UK's main specialist heart treatment centre, as opposed to take him to the very large Queen Elizabeth Hospital at King's Lynn that's much nearer to Sandringham, where the royal party was staying. It's quite clear that what was felt needed was the specialist care that this hospital can provide. It's the largest centre for heart and lung transplants, for example, in the United Kingdom, treating more than 23,000 patients in the hospital every year. Nonetheless, we only know at the moment officially that the Duke is undergoing precautionary tests. It's likely perhaps at this hour that he'll be asleep, that he'll be monitored overnight, and perhaps a bigger picture will emerge later on during the night, or perhaps, and perhaps more likely, in the morning.
OK, Ben, with the very latest at Papworth Hospital, thank you very much. Let's speak to the Royal Historian Hugo Vickers, who joins us on the line. Hugo, you have written numerous books about the royal family. How concerned will they be this evening?
Well, they'll obviously be concerned on account of his age, and it's particularly sad, I think, that this sort of thing should happen just before Christmas. It's always very unpleasant, but he's obviously in very good hands and in very good care. He's the sort of person who doesn't, he would go to hospital if he needs to. Otherwise, he would reckon the whole thing was a lot of nonsense. And he's a man who sort of likes to get on with things, and he has a wonderful habit of bouncing back from things like this. And let's hope he'll do so on this occasion too.
Yeah, I mean, some reports have been saying that he's been suffering from a mild, a minor heart condition for some period of time. Is that the case?
I haven't heard that, but I mean, I know that he was in 2008. He was taken into hospital from Windsor, and he spent a couple of days in the Edward VII. That was to do with a sort of suspected pneumonia, if I remember rightly. And when he came out, his first reaction was, well, I think they just wanted to get me out of the way and see that I was being looked after and so forth. You know, as I say, he's very matter-of-fact about these things, but let's hope he'll be all right.
He's still a very busy working royal, isn't he, at the age of 90, and you think about next year's celebrations as well, a big part in that with the Queen.
Well, absolutely, and I mean, he announced earlier in the year when he was 90 that he was going to give up a lot of things and take life easier, but if you look at all the reports of the things he's doing, he's done no such thing at all. He's incredibly active. He's got a very, very clear and very good mind. I mean, I myself saw him about a month ago, and he was in very good form, perhaps a little bit gaunt around the eyes, perhaps, but that's to be expected at his age. You think he's just come back from Australia. He did that big trip with the Queen to Ireland. His own 90th birthday celebrations earlier in the year, and of course before that the royal wedding. So, you know, he's had a very busy time. Yeah,
and the Queen, of course, relying on him hugely as her consort, describing him recently as her strength and mainstay.
Yes, I mean, you know, they recently celebrated their 64th wedding anniversary. I mean, that's a very long time in any marriage. It's remarkable, and it's a very, very strong union. I mean, I always think that the Queen, unlike Princess Margaret, sort of took on somebody her own size. I mean, they're very well matched. You know, he can say whatever he likes to her. She understands the spirit in which it's said. He's always very robust in his views, as you know. And, you know, it's a very, very good relationship.
This year, as every year, I think he was organising the Boxing Day shoot. In terms of his position as sort of head of the firm and the discussions about the future of the royal family, I mean, is he relinquishing any of those duties, do you know?
Well, I don't suppose he is for 1 minute. I mean, what he's very good at is taking a long view of things. You know, he cuts through a lot of the nonsense of the moment and sees things as they will be in the future. I mean, I always think the best example of what he did was when Prince William was a little bit unsure as to whether he wanted to walk in the funeral procession for his mother, the Princess of Wales, because of all the press shenanigans and so forth. And the night before the funeral, Prince Philip said to Prince William, I think that in the long run, you know, when you're much older, you'd very much regret it if you didn't walk in your mother's funeral procession, and I will walk with you. I mean, how supportive can you be as a grandfather? I think that tells you everything you need to know about him, really.
Yeah, and just briefly, Hugo, I mean, the Queen remaining at Sandringham this evening. Prince Philip would now appear spending the night at Papworth Hospital. I mean, the fact that she is still there does underline that these are just precautionary tests, and there is nothing particularly serious or concerning for the royal family or the doctors at the moment.
Yes, I mean, obviously it must have been serious enough for him to go to the hospital, but, you know, she wouldn't go with him unless it was something pretty desperate, I think. I think you're quite right. I think we must consider that it is precautionary tests, and let's hope that we'll see a smiling Prince Philip emerging from the hospital tomorrow, brushing the press aside and heading off back home for Christmas. It may not be. He may have to stay in for a couple of days, but let's hope he'll soon be all right.
OK, Hugo Vickers, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme. Our royal correspondent Nick Mitchell was explaining that he'd had a stent inserted, but we now hear a little bit more detail about this. Following tests at Papworth Cardiothoracic Hospital in Cambridge, Duke of Edinburgh was found to have a blocked coronary artery which caused the chest pains. This was treated successfully by the minimally invasive procedure of coronary stenting. Prince Philip will remain in hospital under observation for a short period, so no specific time frame given for how long Prince Philip will be in hospital. Christmas Eve, of course, tomorrow. Normally at Sandringham, he hosts the Boxing Day shoot there on Monday, but whether he will be up to that remains to be seen.